Good morning. Welcome to Coffee with Madam K. So I need to do some edge beveling, so I have my edger here, but I haven't sharpened it in a while, so I'm going to try to sharpen this. So these are really hard to sharpen because, of course, the blade is between those two prongs, so you can't really do the traditional stropping because you're not going to get into those blades. So what I found is if I take some thin leather, one of the about 2 millimeters, it's about the 3 to 4 ounce Craftsman leather, and I'm actually going to apply the polishing compound to the edge. That way it can slide through there and it gets into those little grooves. So if you can see that it fits almost perfectly in there. So find a piece of leather that's going to fit perfectly. I've used thicker leather before and beveled it down until it fit, so that's always something you can do. Now, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to hear this, but unsharpened, you'll hear a lot of drag as the blade goes through the leather, so you don't want to hear that grinding, dragging noise. So you probably heard that. So it cut pretty smooth. Yes, it's pretty sharp right now, but that still isn't as smooth as we want it. We want to have pretty much no sound. So I have this polishing compound that I got from Tandy Leather. And a lot of the polishing compounds, based on the color, is how you're going to know how coarse it is. So this is not the extra coarse. This is just the coarse compound, which is a dark gray color. So I'm going to start by applying that very liberally to the edge until I get a nice gray color, so I see that enough has come off on it. I'm not sure if you can see it. It seems like it's a little dried out. I don't think it's supposed to be so hard to get onto it, but I think I got enough on there. And then I'm just going to strop it just like you would the blade, running with the blade, making sure not to angle it too much because we don't want to round the blade out. So this is where using the thicker leather and beveling it down might have helped a little bit because you'd have a stiffer piece of leather to work with, but if you just hold it tight, you can keep it stiff. And you'll start to see it get a little bit shinier around the blade. So with this coarser, what it's doing is actually it is going to file it down a little bit. So it depends on how sharp you want to go. You don't always want to use the coarse. Sometimes you just want to polish it out and get some of the nicks out of it. But if your blade is really dull, then you want to shave some off with the coarse. So this is the Red Jeweler's Rouge polishing compound, which is more of a fine polishing one. So once you have it shaved down with the coarse, I'm applying the red on the other side. I'm just going to do the same thing. Okay, it's a lot shinier. The shinier it gets, the better you know it's working. Now I'm going to sharpen it from the bottom side, so this is the easier part. So I'm going to use the rough side of the leather. So I've been told different ways. Some people say they use the smooth side, some people use the rough side. Recently I've been reading a lot to use the rough side, and to me that kind of makes sense because it has a little bit of a, sandpaper sort of edge, so it seems like it would make more sense. So I'm just going to do a couple strips with this, keeping it nice and flat so I don't round out the blade. And now it's super shiny. And then same thing with the finer Jeweler's Rouge to polish it. Okay, so now let's do that same thing, make that same cut and see if it is any smoother. It still makes the noise, but That definitely is a nice smooth cut. I think it's really hard to cut the thinner leather with a dull blade, so I'm going to actually try using some of this thin leather and see if it cuts easy. Oh yeah, definitely a smooth cut. If you ever try to cut the 3 to 4 ounce leather and your blade's not completely sharp, because it's so thin, it really will start to bunch up on you and tear, sort of intentionally doing it, but you'll see it tearing through the leather more than cutting through the leather. So this is definitely a nice sharp blade. And it's giving it a nice smooth beveled edge. Okay, so thanks for tuning in and seeing some techniques that I've learned along the way. Again, may not be the right way, but it's the Madam K way.